Unmuting. There we go with the intro.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Super Desperation Radio! Go!
And we're live. Hey, everybody, how you doing? We're going to be coming to you with another great episode of Super Desperation Radio. Don't mind the fact there's only 3 of us here currently.
It's like 2.5. My connection might shit out too.
Oh, shit. Well, 2.5. We'll try our best to make it work. We've obviously done... I was almost going to say we've done worse with more, but I mean we've done better with less.
More with less?
Yeah, more with less. There we go. That makes more sense. Yeah, but it's still be a pretty good show, I think. I don't see us, not having anything to talk about. It's been a pretty wild week for video games in general. We just had, Nintendo finally title its new console system, much to everybody's, I would say, pretty positive response.
Positive? Like, I don't know. I definitely had a lot of friends who used to get beat by this thing.
Oh, yeah?
I think that the response has been trepidation with hope.
A lot of hope, definitely.
I can't quite say it's been totally positive because there's a lot of people I've seen who are just like, I'm interested to see where they go with this, but I don't think that necessarily means they're buying it.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't just they've obviously attempted to get everybody's attention immediately. And now, and the best way for them to do that was release that huge list of people that they're partnered with, the third parties. And that doesn't automatically mean that, they're going to be making every game cross-platform for Nintendo. They've definitely shown in the past that they can work with these people and just be like, yeah, you're making this version of this game just for us, and it's going to be totally different than every other version of this game you put on all the other consoles. Or hell, it may not even be on other consoles.
Yeah, the big thing right now is everyone is speculating that the Switch can run Skyrim because I guess it showed it in the trailer, and that's a big deal. So I don't know. Yeah. I added the guest. Let's put him in this call.
Okay, cool. Now I can actually fix your shit.
I feel like Nintendo's done the song and dance with third parties before, where they're just like, hey guys, look what we've got, and let's all be honest with ourselves. Since the Super Nintendo, their third-party support has not exactly been fantastic. It started kind of falling off. Well, it basically went from amazing to fell off a cliff with the 64 and the GameCube and the Wii and the Wii U. All just had varying, there was always 1 or 2 companies that had really good support for it. Like in the GameCube, it was Capcom, and then obviously they've had some of the stuff with Platinum for the Wii U and getting Bayonetta 2, and what is it? The Wonderful 101? Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be a killer app, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, people really like the game.
Yeah.
I think people took pretty well to some of those things, but it just wasn't enough, it was.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it.
It was just like, hey, we got these things here and there, and then the thing, by the time that Wonderful whatever that stuff came out, once it was even Nintendo was like, so what, Even they were kind of just thinking oh man, we don't really want to drag this out any further. Oh man, we got another Zelda game coming. Well, it worked with Twilight Princess. Let's just wait until the other console comes out.
Okay. I was sitting here trying to figure out. I remember it was a Platinum game. I remember Kamiya's name being all over it, and it is. And I don't know what happened. It's just shit. That's
what I'm saying. They were just well, there it is, guys. It's out.
It was really good. It didn't get a lot of press, even though Nintendo backed the bill. But it's a very solid game. It's very technical at its core too, though. So it's a bit more of difficult, but you could do a lot of cool stuff, much like other games developed by Platinum.
Ooh, moderately breaking news. Skullgirls will be getting a limited release, physical release, on the PS4 and the PS Vita. Pre-orders start on Halloween.
Oh, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's that? Did the Skullgirls tweet that out, or Mike?
Yeah, Skullgirls tweeted that from their official account. I just retweeted it. It says they're teaming up with Limited Run Games to release it. Limited Run Games just publish physical copies for consoles and handhelds. I think they're going to do like... Well, most likely what the case is, they're going to produce the minimum amount required by the company, and that's it. So that's
really
nice.
Cool.
I want to get it.
I kind of do too, even though I'm not really a huge Skullgirls player, but it's kind of cool.
I want to get it, but I can't support Mike Z until he fulfills his promise to me in Hell Pockets.
Oh wow!
I mean, it's definitely like a little tougher to pull that off, while knowing that he promised us, and he already owes anyway for the burger. So it's like, hey man, you gotta you gotta come through with something, man. You can't just sit here and be like, oh yeah, you go ahead and do it. But thanks for the burger. Thanks for the the support and everything and the love and buying my game. And no, you can't be in my game. It could happen like that. Game, right? I don't think Mike's gonna be like that, but it could happen. Like if I was Mike, I would totally pull that scumbaggery stuff. But Mike's nicer than I am. Oh man. Anyway, by the way, the reason why you guys are seeing my face is because I'm editing stuff on the side. So don't worry, everything's going fine. I am not taking over the show by myself, even though that might actually drive up the ratings just a small amount, at least for this episode.
You just have this hobo in front of a green screen. Like, what the hell is it? And then he's got some bootleg FedEx on his shirt. What kind of nonsense is this shit?
It's
he's like, hey guys,
FedEx.
we're gonna boost ratings right now thanks to me. Hell Pockets. How you doing, commentator extraordinaire? I once was on Espen. You know that?
Why do you just have like the whitest Steve Stone commentator voice going on right now?
Oh, because it's him. It's Hell Pockets.
It's
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh shit!
Well, yeah,
Alright,
man,
wait, can I curse on this show?
You just did.
I mean, you broke the.
You just broke the. That's it. Now we're not going to be able to look spooky in the face anymore.
Keep it PG-13 esports. None of them spoilers or nothing. But you can drop a fuck. No, you can drop a fuck. You can drop a shit. Whatever.
The problem is you can't tell people keep it PG-13 because PG-13 allows one fuck.
Oh, you're right.
True.
We already used it.
I was going to say, if we keep it PG-13, that involves a really bad tag team from the mid-90s, and I'm not really interested in that. So, kind of going back to the Switch just for a second, I wanted to say that Nintendo's biggest problem since the Super NES has always been a second console, basically. It's like, if you get a console, they're not your first choice. They're your second choice, always, because people are just getting it most of the time for the Nintendo games. And as the console prices have gone up, it prices people out of a second console in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And is there a price?
The Nintendo's my third console, actually.
Really?
See, there you go. For some people, it's the third.
Honestly,
they haven't
Nintendo's
hardly anything.
Nintendo's my first console. But that's because I play mostly on PC. So you know what I mean. I pretty much get the consoles that have games that I'm really interested in that I can't play on my computer.
I mean,
that makes sense.
I respect that, and I've been burned by that in the past because I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I think this might come out for PC. It should come out for PC. It came out for a console I don't have. Oh, all right.
I mean, some people got burned a little by MKX at first. They kind of rectified that.
I'm one of those.
I definitely was.
Yeah.
But XL came out, and then I don't even know if they fixed Batman at all. But that was kind of a travesty.
Oh yeah, I don't think that ever got fixed. But it might.
Yeah, I think they canceled the Linux and Apple ports too. They're like, nah, we already messed up big time. Sorry guys. So
you guys don't want this anymore anyway. Look at you guys you're disgusting.
Yeah.
We're filthy.
Go watch the new Superman movie and then just jump out a window.
Jesus. All right, we're almost set up here. You got to underscore in between Bizarro and Mike, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Doesn't even know
man.
Good question. I have autofill on.
Which username are you talking about? Yes.
All of them. Yes. All of them. They're all the same, right? Well, anyway, we're running with it. If it's not right, then you're more famous than we are anyway because you work for Yahoo.
I don't know about all that. Well, that wasn't on ESPN.
He's got a point.
That's a point. Anyway, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our special guest for the evening. He's here a little bit early, but we're glad that he's here because we almost didn't know if he was coming.
Oh, if he didn't come, man. Look, Mike, if you weren't coming, I told everybody on stream I was going to drag your name through the mud, through the dirt, through the shit, through everything. You're never going to work in this business again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bizarro Mike.
What's up? I was playing Gears of War 4, sorry.
Is that what that was about, man? Jeez.
Not be here on time.
How is it?
Oh shit, should probably get on. I love it.
That's one of those games that I was hoping would be on PC eventually.
It is on PC.
Gears 4?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
If you buy it digitally, it's like you get both PC and Xbox One, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, I need to get on that shit.
All right, before we start, is the call weird for anyone or no?
A little bit, yeah.
It was for a second.
I just thought it was my internet, but I guess
I did too.
It seems like it's fine now. Yeah.
Hell Pockets has the auto tune going on for me sometimes.
Oh yeah, gotta make sure that that it's working because after this I record my album.
We have never been able to actually get something that's stable the whole time. We moved from Skype because it was literally just dropping people randomly, and even on Discord we have problems every now and again. Just can't win.
Yeah, not too many, but
it's a fairly new platform. Like I want that stuff that you see on like MSNBC that never drops.
Oh, that's called via satellite.
So we need a SDR satellite. So first of all, we need a patch.
Get it right. We need a SDR via satellite. Okay.
What's it? I
don't know what company this VIA is, but
we need to get one of the VIA satellites.
When one of you gets enough money that we can afford a satellite for the show, I don't know that we'll need to do the show anymore. But sure, we can still do it.
No, man, we'll have like a studio and everything.
I've got this I got 3 satellite dishes attached to my house. Only one of them is still active. This shit gets all those Arabic channels and shit, so I can watch all those like Turkish novellas and shit, man.
I'm coming over.
Jeez. But getting back to Nintendo Switch is like it is a little bit more of a offensive approach than they took with the previous consoles.
Offensive or offensive?
Could be seen either way.
I'm gonna say offensive because offensive is definitely in the eye of the beholder. But I would say that they're definitely or aggressive. We'll go with that.
Hey man, all I'm saying is I cannot wait to go play some basketball down at the park, and then load up the Switch and play some NBA 2K. Why would I do that?
I'm definitely excited to be that dude at the party that's like, yo guys, you want to play Mario Kart? And they're like, dude, like we're drinking, we're hanging out.
The rooftop hipster party.
This is why nobody talks to you, man.
No, what they need to do is they need to make the special Switch beer controller that's like a beer cozy and a controller at once. So that way you have, the game in one hand and in the other hand you got your beer and your controller. You can play like the drinking game. Like they'll make a video game that's just about drinking, and it's like VR but augmented reality.
Did they actually make a Wii beer pong game? Somebody made one?
Really?
I think so.
Rockstar made table tennis for 360. Never mind. I was gonna say Rockstar beer pong.
You know what? The one use of the Switch that made a lot of sense though is when they showed the airport, because I've known people who do that. Yeah. They'll take the Wii U with them and play it like on the go, like when they're traveling.
Oh yeah.
But some of the other ones, like you said, the rooftop hipster party, nobody's doing that shit.
Oh man, please! I would feel like terrible if like I was at a rooftop party and somebody just brings out a Nintendo Switch and I'm like, hey, it's my first rooftop party and there's already a guy here ruining my experience. Like,
what if you were at a rave?
This building real quick.
What if I'm at a rave?
If you were at a rave and they just pulled that shit out.
It would have been better if during that commercial the girl closed the shutters and she's like, "No, I'm playing Mario." Go away.
Trying to get these Zelda points, man.
Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, I dig that it's like, it's a go anywhere, play any game that you own in the library type of like, peripheral. And that's definitely what I would expect from Nintendo in this current market, But at the same time, I'm also kind of like, All right, well, you still, we're used to innovation from you, but I kind of want to see more games in Breath of the Wild, and another Mario game, and then what was that other shit they were showing? NBA,
Splatoon in a friggin' arena with packed
arena.
Are you ready to start covering Splatoon tournaments worldwide?
I'm totally ready for Splatoon.
I'm honestly down for that.
I just, you know what? And some people pointed this out, and I had to laugh. It was like, yep, it's Splatoon in an arena, not Smash Brothers. I was like, if that's not the biggest slight, I don't know what is at that point.
Honestly, if you think about it, it might not necessarily be a slight in the sense that Sakurai usually goes hand in hand saying like, oh no, it's not a competitive game, it's a fun game. But like, Splatoon's new devs, these are like some of the younger people. This is the supposedly next generation of people that are probably still older than all of us. But, they finally got their chance to make a game. And that's why they actually release real comprehensive patch notes and among other things, So, ultimately the choices made by that team could reflect on why they want to push it as an esport, because they see it as some sort of a viable option for this kind of thing. And rather than, the old fuddy-duddies at Nintendo or wherever you might say, they're like, okay, we'll let you roll with this and see how it goes. Because in Japan, it seems like it's working pretty well. They keep having their Splatoon Koshians all the time. So it's still alive and well there, but in America it's definitely died out a bit. But if there was more like LAN events,
I was gonna say if there was actually support for tournaments from Nintendo in America, I think it would be big.
Whoa. Come on, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
It doesn't even necessarily have to be that, but it needs to be more convenient. Like, obviously, everyone's going to have their own Switch, so the install base is going to be pretty high, right? More than just like a regular stick. But at the same time, what would be nice about everyone having their own Switch and going to tournament is obviously you can kind of play wherever you would like. But at the same time, at a lot of these tournaments, you give generic gear and generic weapons. You could actually probably customize a bit better before going into these events. So you can have like your actual loadout, be like, okay, if I want to use this gun, I'm going to use this, or So the people that are going to be truly competitive are really going to re-roll, get whatever strengths that they need on their gear.
You said re-roll?
Oh my god. Yeah, actually, I need you to re-roll because I'm down 80. Give me some.
Nope, you got 3.
What's the number?
Crapped out.
Yep. Okay, I ain't hitting nothing anymore today. I guess
Jesus,
it's
man.
over.
You've been hitting that table too hard, dude. That's why the internet sucks now. You had to downgrade it in under a day. Got to make rent, man.
I had to spend all my time in the hotel because the ground floor ain't really helping me much.
Oh man, but yeah, so I'm cool with that. I'm excited. People have been making like little jokes about this being a boon for the multi-blood community. I mean,
I really do hope that they could put multi-blood on, just for the fact.
They have to now at this point, right?
Well, the thing that people were asking was like, hey, are they gonna have like like sticks for Nintendo stuff now? Like, are they gonna?
Well, the biggest concern at this point is. So the cool thing about the Switch is obviously, the 2 controllers break off and you can have them as one player or yourself. They don't even have to be connected to anything because they're all going to be connected wirelessly. So the good and bad is wireless controllers, which generally are fine, but with, that many, how is it going to work? Is there going to even be a way to have a wired controller for this? It does have USB ports on it, so...
Yeah.
But what else?
You pointed out that you break off the controls much like you break off a Switch.
Oh yeah, is that why it's called the Switch?
I think so. Yeah, you just put this all in perspective for me.
But like people are gonna
bring back some repressed memories for some people.
There's gonna be other like pro controllers and whatnot. So having multiple controllers probably won't be the issue at hand, but rather. Are they going to make a stick controller that has a dock for it so it looks like an arcade front for you? You just slide it into your arcade cab.
Actually, that'd be kind of dope.
Switch.
That'd be pretty sick, actually, because then you could have because then like those guys who make those are like, hey, now we're legit guys. Nintendo wants our business.
I mean, think about it. All those different like suitcase screens and stuff. You just be like, slide the Switch in here. All right, throw some speakers in, maybe a battery pack.
The one thing that bothers me and kind of worries me at the same time, I don't know if this is official, but I was told that there's no 3DS or Wii U support for this.
Physical. As from what I understand, there's
oh yeah, because it's all carts.
Yeah, and like you know, there's
Virtual console.
Yeah.
All right.
Now here's
They'll
the thing.
return.
Here's the thing. I'm okay with them doing virtual console as long as they actually add the titles from like you know the 3DS.
Yeah.
Because there's like really no reason not to do it. They say it's not the successor to the 3DS, and I believe them. You know, like I'm like, okay, there's no reason that this should replace the 3DS if it's not dead yet. But at the same time, you know, why should I have to buy both? Especially when this one's like a superior machine.
You know what's
the
gonna
DS
happen.
and the 3DS weren't Game Boy killers either, but we haven't seen a Game Boy in a while.
Exactly.
True.
I was gonna bring that up. We're gonna get the Switch, and we're never gonna see another DS again.
I mean, that's fine, but like the thing is, like, man, okay, so that actually opens up a lot of the library that Nintendo's kind of just didn't have on their console, because like their handheld library was kind of cool for the most part.
Yeah.
There's a lot of 3DS games I want to play. I wish they were on console, you know? Like you're getting what? You're getting freaking Neketsu Downtown Special SP.
Oh yeah, dude,
coming out this week.
Coming out the October 27th. I definitely pre-ordered it and got like rush shipping because I want to play it immediately.
Right, and I want to play it too, but I'm like, shit, man, I'm stuck with just console. I gotta buy a 3DS for this. And
oh, you don't have a 3DS? I thought you might have because of the
I'm going to be
DBZ
all right,
games.
so I'm going to be getting a 3DS soon, and it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna have it, but the thing is, like, picture me a guy who's just like, do I want to shell out that cash for a Kunio game? And yeah, there's a lot of Kunio games.
Yeah, you are that guy.
Picture me as not the guy. Picture me as a Raider fan. Do I want to? Do I have the money to shell out that kind of? Do I have the money to shell out for those games?
I want to bring something up. I got this thing here. All right, people can see it on camera. I got this thing here for one game only. And look, here's the game. See it? Eat a dick, Chris.
I mean, that definitely does happen though when you get a console for one game. I got a PS4 for King of Fighters 14. I have other games for it. I've played Exert a little bit, but not much.
It's just not the best deal, is what I'm saying.
No, yeah, because especially with the days of a lot of Vita games and even PSP games are just hitting PC at this point. You know, it's like, how hard could it be to port a 32-bit handheld game to some other platform? I mean, even look at other games like all the different Shantae titles and whatnot. You know, DSi only and iPhone. You know, now we got it on PC, we got it on PS4. You know, we got all these different platforms.
Yeah, totally. So I think it's good that if they do this, and the most important thing being that these games come out on a platform that can now be streamed, because you couldn't stream that shit without dropping an extra $500.
Oh yeah.
So
well, I mean, if you want a chance to make yourself a nice yellow brick road, I think you can. If you get a new 3DS, it's a lot more cheaper install base if you do it yourself.
Yeah, right.
But you know, the chances of
I need you to solder for me. I don't know anything about it.
Not even soldering. It's just you got to be like, all right, so I got to make sure it's the right version, and if I messed up, it's gonna break. All right, I paid $200 for a new 3DS, and now I can't use it. I am assed out. Yeah,
It's a rough life.
You know, I have a 3DS. I've took a couple games with me recently for my long ass trip to Singapore and back. And I didn't play but like maybe 10 minutes of anything. It's the worst. Like my attention span on a plane is done. I can't sleep on a plane, but I can't play any games because my attention span is just done.
Dude,
so.
that's gotta be some kind of living hell, man.
Sucks.
Like you got like, you know.
Well, I mean, it's also
caught in a vortex for real.
Yeah.
My biggest issue is that if I'm on any kind of moving vehicle, except for a boat, for some reason, I get motion sickness if I do anything but just sit there and
You
listen
like
to music.
maybe it's the they cancel each other out. Like you're on the waves, but you're playing your 3DS and
Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't
Is
go
that
on
how
like
physics works. I don't know. Is that physics? I'm not a scientist. I'm a writer, damn it.
Like
No, I don't know. I never really understood that myself, but you know, I was just like, oh, okay. For some reason, maybe it's because my dad was a fisherman. He always used to take us fishing when we were kids. I got used to that, but I used to always throw up in the car when I was a kid too. So who knows?
just reading the book in the car and you're just like, oh no, here it comes.
I never read a book. Don't you dare accuse me of that again.
Wow.
God.
Oh, Mike. Okay, so you have not been properly introduced to Anthony, Lord Walken. He is by far the greatest hater of books that has ever lived. He
like all books or
every book.
Yeah.
The only book I think he owns is Playing to Win because Serlin is his idol.
I don't own a copy, but
This is a gimmick that is never gonna die.
both of them.
strategy guides too. Like, I mean, we talking everything here?
No, I'm talking, you know, if there's too much literature, you know, I can see a picture every now and again, but you know.
Okay, funny books are good then. Okay.
No. There's too many words for that.
Nothing funny about them funny
Think
books.
about it. If I had it, think about it. You could get a book that's 500 pages, and I can get 2 pictures, and they probably got the same word count. You know what I'm saying? A picture's 1,000 words.
You
not
need
sure
to
that's
fucking
how it works.
just go back home. I don't know where you are. Just kick him out of the call.
I'm not sure that's how it works.
Here we got freaking like, you know, Yahoo journalist over here. You're throwing the dad jokes out.
Oh,
of it.
Pretty sure
it was like
on
that.
the internet.
guys, check it out. So this is one thing that we meant to bring up. Now you cover a lot of esports and everything, right? For Yahoo.
Yes.
What
A lot
is your
being Street
coverage?
Fighter.
Yeah, well, okay, you know, let's just put Street Fighter on the back burner for a bit. What is the coverage like for Chess 2?
Yeah. Do you know how Yomi's doing in the streets? Because I can definitely hit you up. I can go to SerlinCon.
God damn it.
You know.
Is that a thing?
That
Yeah,
is a thing.
it's in Oakland.
SerlinCon is a real thing. Hey, Mike, you know
so
David
sad.
Serlin, right?
Mike, I know.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
I
Did you know that he has his own convention?
I did not know he had so
It's
convention.
in Oakland, man.
Now
should
you
come
do.
out.
And now you understand why the Raiders
when
are
is
leaving
it?
Oakland.
I don't know. I think it's in like August of the year or something like that. I forget. I saw it up there once. I was like, for jokes, maybe I should go. And then like the ticket price was like $70. I'm like, $70 for Serlin's convention. I don't even know how many
Costs
people.
less to get into Evo, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I was just like, nah, you know, the joke is good, but I think $70 is $70.
I'm not sure I could expense that.
You really should have just gone up to like where maybe there was like a sign outside of it and just taken a picture at the sign and walked away.
I would have went if I had like a Serlin outfit. If I had like a snake shirt and just like khaki pants, I would have gone.
Is that cosplay? Do you
Cosplaying,
cosplay?
Yeah, I'm gonna be David Serlin. You know,
Okay.
I'm gonna be like, Master, teach me the ways of low strong and alpha 2. Like, if you could, teach me the rhythm that you have not released to this day.
Oh,
I want to
okay.
taste the red fierce berry Gatorade.
What?
So,
That's what victory tastes like.
hold on, Mike. I need to give you some more backstory on Walken. He's a historian. He likes to
Wait, how can
document
you
all
be a
the things.
historian if you don't read anything?
Well, no, you don't have to. He doesn't read things. He lived it through
Okay,
Serlin.
okay.
He listened to Serlin. All right, Serlin said words.
Okay.
Walkman heard the words, and now Walkman preaches those words to people. And he keeps it to people. He recorded a bunch of podcasts about Serlin. He is like the Serlin master. Like, he knows everything about him.
The Serlin curator. The
Oh my
Serlin.
god.
Scary.
You guys are kayfabing this really hard.
I don't know what to think anymore.
Really hard.
I was just gonna say, like, Mike, we brought you on the show basically to pitch you the idea of a show on Yahoo, but forget about it.
Yeah, Yahoo Serlin Sports.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh, anyway,
We'll make sure to
what
book
were you-
studio time for that.
Awesome.
So you did say that you basically you mostly cover Street Fighter V, and recently you put some feelers out there, you know, asking people what they wanted to see, and I actually didn't get to see a lot of the responses to that. So I wonder if you wanted to like maybe elaborate on what people were giving you on that, like maybe some of the things.
You know, it's funny because like we actually did a thing where we actually asked 2 questions: what people would like to see like improve in Street Fighter V, and what people would like to see improve on the Capcom Pro Tour. And we did it like as a supercut. So the only one we actually released was the Capcom Pro Tour because there was different answers.
Mm-hmm.
But the Street Fighter V one, the reason we didn't release that one, not really because it was bad or anything, but pretty much everyone had the same response: frame delay or input delay. Between that and of course, like, you know, either nerfing specific characters they don't like, or like Snake Eyes wanting a better Zangief. I mean, can you blame the guy? So yeah, but for like the Pro Tour, I think there was a lot of pretty good responses. People are still confused. I mean, we're what? The Pro Tour started in February.
Mm-hmm.
It's October going into November, and people are still confused about how you qualify, especially as it gets down to like these last few spots or whatever for Capcom Cup. So I don't know. I think some people. I'm kind of with the idea that there should be less events. I know that's not what like event organizers and TOs want to hear, but so yeah, there's different responses, like less events. They're confused about the whole like qualifying process, the points, the online tournaments, the regions is kind of messy, all of that.
I'm glad it's not only just us seeing that too, because for a second
I'm confused too. Like someone asked a question on Twitter about Sako qualifying for Capcom Cup, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think he's qualified, and I'm like, this guy and this guy are qualified ahead of him or whatever, and then I go double check and I'm like, shit, that doesn't sound right. And then there's like all these different scenarios. Like technically right now, if everything ended today, Sako's in, but there's like sort of like this wild circumstance that if two other guys don't qualify through like global points or something, I can't remember how it all breaks down.
What is that?
Yeah, like mean? It's physics. I told you I'm not a scientist. I don't.
Yeah, well, because it's not only just the premier events. Then there's also like the regional finals that also will add a certain amount of points later, and there's, it's not actually for me that there's so many events. It's that there's so many different types of events.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's all confusing between like global, regional, and all that. It just got really confusing, and I don't know, like I'm kind of excited for this last few weeks because the regional finals they actually don't offer points. They're just straight up like premier events. Someone gets in. But the thing is what happens is if someone wins that is going to qualify through points, that kind of changes how everything breaks down through the point structure. So, that's where like someone like Sako could be in danger, because if people qualify straight up through either these events or whatever, it changes the point structure, and he could actually get bumped out. Or Canada Cup is the last event with points, so depending on how that shakes out, like someone could actually get ahead of him. I think it just kind of depends. I don't even know if he's going, but it really also depends on who's going to Canada Cup too. Too much science involved in this.
Math and stuff, man. That's actually good. I mean, I think that making people keep track of stuff like that does make them feel more involved with the overall process leading up to finals. But yeah, for some people who are just like looking at all sorts of like, scenes and games and may not have, CPT on the brain immediately, when you tell them that somebody on like the qualifying list may not qualify because of these events, you're like, whoa, what?
I mean, it's like back in the day, or even now, like we look at the NFL when it comes time to, for playoffs, and you get like these scenarios for like the last couple wild cards or whatever, and it's like these teams have to win, these teams have to lose. Just like imagine that times 1,000. And I mean, I think some of these other events are cool, like the Red Bull Proving Grounds and whatnot, but it is kind of weird that they kind of add to the mess because they're not CPT events, but they're qualifiers for qualifiers to get into qualifiers to get into like the Capcom Cup. So, yeah.
I mean, those kind of events, I think they needed to happen anyway, or at least
I mean, I thought Proving Grounds was great.
Yeah.
Like that last event they did, I guess it was yesterday, right? Today's Monday. With Dominion and Chris G in the grand finals. I mean, I'm like, that was a really cool, match. So I'm kind of glad they did that. But yeah, it all adds to sort of this convoluted mess that Capcom sort of created with the Pro Tour this year.
Yeah, I imagine if we get a couple of years under our belt, we have no choice but to like, get used to it, and then it won't be a problem,
Yeah, I just think that if they could somehow just sort of simplify the process so that people just understand this is what I need to do, and I don't know, because like I feel bad. Some players just traveled so much and they're consistent. They got lots of top 8s or like top 4 finishes, but they're nowhere near qualifying because they don't have enough points. Because other people like won online events or rank, they farmed out the ranking events in other regions when those regions aren't as good as say like North America or Asia.
I think the other thing that's kind of a problem is either you need to stop allowing people who have already qualified to keep playing, or they need to do like they did before, which was like once you've qualified, the points move down, or the qualifying moves down.
Right. Yeah. And it's weird because like I get why they changed that, because last year we're seeing like 4th place, people take like automatic spots, and I get they don't want that to happen, but I think the points structure just got kind of wacky. And like I said, there's guys that travel a lot. I think Flash is probably the best example. That dude traveled a lot. That dude's had a lot of top 8s and like even 4th place finishes at some really big events, but he's nowhere close to qualifying, and that's kind of a shame, I think. Because he didn't, he chose, it's his choice, but he chose really not to go to any of the events where he could have gone to Mexico and probably cleaned up,
Yeah.
You gotta hustle, man. Shoot.
This is true.
That's also a new reality for a lot of people, where it's just like, hey, man, you might have to go to some place that you probably don't want to go to, but those are the points you need, man. So, Mexico's a place nobody wants to go to, but like, you may not feel like traveling that weekend.
If Justin Wong's gonna take everything in North America, your options are limited.
Yeah, I'm one of those kind of guys that say if the guy's winning everything, you go to whatever tournament he's at and you try to beat him, because even if you don't qualify, at least you beat him, And you can come back next year and be like, that should have been me if I went to more tournaments that he was at.
I'm not sure a lot of people feel that way.
No, nobody feels that way. That's just me because I'm crazy. That's because I smoked.
They'd rather have that. They'd rather have that shot at the $250,000. Well, I guess it's almost $350,000
because I smoked the baking soda. I think weird stuff.
It's obviously just like a really strange thing in general, and obviously while we've done this a couple of years now, there's still a lot more going into it, not to mention what like Sony's involvement. I'm sure they probably have some say or pull as well, and this is probably their first foray into anything like this. They'd be like, oh yeah, let's do it this way, this seems kind of solid, and it's just like, well, I don't know. They could always try and maybe do like the Dota route, which is a little bit weirder, but you have big lands, big tournaments, like 4 big tournaments of the year, and then you invite, top competitors based on their performance, and then have people just play for spots at like
qualifiers.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that is we're not a scene that does invites well, because when it comes down to inviting, it always comes down to like playing favorites. It's not necessarily getting the best players, and in some cases it's just getting someone who's popular based on like, oh, this guy's my friend, or the people like this person. And on top of that, I don't want to say we're more competitive than the Dota scene, but we come off as more competitive than the Dota scene, especially when we get upset that like, hey, why did these guys get invited? Why didn't they play for a spot? Like, we need to be playing for spots. That's what this shit's all about.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, come play at our tournament, and then the rest of you assholes, you guys got to play.
It's weird because like when you look at the upcoming North American regional finals, which is Red Bull Battlegrounds, like Daigo's going to that, and he has, competitively speaking, he has absolutely no reason to go to that thing. He's in. It doesn't even make sense that he goes, but
maybe he snorts the baking soda.
Well, I
because that's one of the kind of things I would do.
I think he was asked to go. So of course he's probably going to be there. But I'm just like, man. Again, this speaks to like the problem. This is a North American regional final. He's going to play through a qualifier, which he doesn't need to just to get into the 16. To play in that battlegrounds. I'm just like, none of it makes sense. And if there was a reason to gatekeep, I get it, but in some, in like his case, there just doesn't seem to be a valid reason for him to be there.
I think for somebody like Daigo, who shows like he has great interest in playing the game, but I think even he's like, I am at the point where I will mostly go places that I know are lucrative for me, and I think I can win. And I think for the most part, a lot of players are sort of taking that route, and now he's just sort of going in the reverse now and saying like, no, I think I'm gonna go somewhere that, just for fun, see what happens. Maybe I want some of that infiltration fame. Yeah, maybe I want to go to like these big premier events and be like, oh yeah, I know I qualified already, but you got to earn this shit, baby. You know?
But at the end of the day, there's two things people remember. Like next year, there's two things people will remember: who won Evo and who won Capcom Cup.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be the same guy. So.
Woo! Is that the hot take for the year?
I'm saying put Korea down. Mark it down.
All right, so actually, this is a great conversation that I had with a couple of people a couple of nights ago, and they asked me, what is the most hype grand finals for Capcom Cup finals? I said Shanghai and Infiltration, but everybody else says Tokido and Infiltration, and I know you definitely have an opinion about that specific matchup.
Man, another Tokido Infiltration match. I mean, we've seen like how many of those this year? I would say, man, to be honest with you, I'm really kind of feeling right now that for me, I think the hypest grand finals would be, I mean, to be honest with you, I actually feel like I think I would be more hype about something like either Daigo Tokido versus Momochi. But since Infiltration is gonna be in grand finals, I would say it's probably maybe him and Momochi. Just because like those guys are robots, and I know it might not be as exciting, like on paper, as exciting as like Shanghai and Infiltration, but man, watching Momochi play is just, I don't know, that dude is incredible, and he is like clinical, right? Whereas Infiltration is, I mean, he's clinical, but that guy is definitely playing like by feel sometimes too. At least with this Nash, I mean, we don't know who this guy's going to break out at any given time. But I definitely feel like maybe Infiltration Momochi would be my hypest match.
I mean, I could definitely see that because like you said, they're both also like really like technical. They rarely drop something. Everything happens for a reason. But those guys, like.
I mean, did you watch Southeast Asia Majors where Momochi's playing Eita, and there's one round where Eita throws Momochi in the corner. He's got no life left, and Eita just barely, the animation for his run just barely starts, and Momochi throws out a critical art that, I mean, it wasn't like a wake up. Like, he managed to see, I don't know, this guy's like, the game slows down for him, and he managed to see like this thing start up, and
he saw the Twitch.
Yeah, I'm like, man, he killed him with it. I'm like, whoa, this guy is like a machine. I don't know, it should be illegal to be that good.
I mean, no, yeah, that seems to be like where he shines at. It's just like having the most ridiculous reactions, and apparently the only foil to it is just having no reactions at all and just being like, oh yeah, here comes Cannon Spike.
Right. Yeah, and like Shanghai is like incredible reactions. That dude's, I mean, he's really, really good. But I think we've a bunch of people talked about this a lot too. Is you never really know which Shanghai you get at any given event. Like, is it first place Shanghai or is it 13th place Shanghai? Right? Like, you just don't really know. So I don't know.
It's KOF 14 Shanghai. That's what it is.
Yes.
No, that's first place Shanghai.
Damn right it is. Holy crap, man. I have no problem having all confidence in him to do it at Capcom Cup Finals, but if it's got to be somebody else, I definitely see it being Momochi and Infiltration, just simply because Momochi just,
I mean, to be fair, I don't think anybody expected Kazunoko and Daigo to be in grand finals last year.
I expected Kaz to be in there because that was my pick actually for the whole year. That was my pockets pick for the whole year.
Stop it.
I picked that. I don't know how else I can like that. I don't know how else that could. I have it on tape.
Just stop
it.
Hold
on. Hashtag pockets picks. Let me pick that up real quick.
Oh, like that. Let me find it.
It's funny. I had Bonchan and Nemo in my top 4 last year, and they both went 0-2.
Ow!
It's just like my bracket. Thanks, guys.
Oh, dude, yeah, that was definitely a crowning moment for me. But yeah, it's.
I mean, nobody expected Daigo though.
No, really. I did not. Nobody ever would expect Daigo.
And then he got rolled up. So.
Well, I mean, it's Yun, so.
Yeah.
Hey man, but Yun's not that good. Remember?
No, Yun is not that good. It's not Third Strike anymore, guys. It's a new era. The Trinity is dead. Something else I wanted to bring up. I don't know if you're cool with talking about it either, but you also asked people in relation to FGC and esports events what they would like to see from you as a reporter and your team.
Yeah.
And I know that ended up being somewhat of a mixed bag of results where
it is. It's always and actually I got a lot of responses, and I tried not to respond to a lot of them just because I kind of wanted to like take all the responses in and kind of gauge them, I guess. I always get, of course, cover more games, and look, I totally understand that. I wish that I could myself spend more time with more games. I think a large part of the issue right now is that like Street Fighter V and Capcom Pro Tour is pretty much like a full-time job for one person, so it's hard to spend a lot of time on other games. Having said that, though, I kind of have some plans where I'd like to at least take a look at where some of the games that are out now, the other games that are out now, and actually had like recent updates, or like KOF just came out, right? Between that and like the recent update with like MKX, I kind of like to talk to some people and kind of gauge how, I don't know, where they feel like the state of their game is right now, especially with like say MKX and Injustice 2 is coming, right? It feels like there's going to be sort of like this last push to kind of keep MKX, I don't know if relevant's the right word, but there's still pot bonuses and stuff, which is kind of cool. Of course, Killer Instinct and what's it called? Killer Instinct World Cup is coming in, I think, March. So yeah, there's always like cover more games. I'd love to, but then there's also the issue of like, hey, like Street Fighter is what I tell people. Street Fighter is what sets the table for all the other fighting games, unfortunately, when it comes to coverage. You kind of like, you have to do that, and then maybe not really sneak other stuff in, but you just kind of, I don't know, throw them a bone or something. But on top of that, one of the weird things that I got was like, I had a few people talk to me about recaps for events, and I'm like, nobody reads these things. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think anybody would watch recaps either if we just went over, like a generic who won, whatever. I don't know. Maybe if there's some way we could put together like a Sports Center style like package, highlights package of an event.
I mean, if you need to do that, I know a guy who can host it. So, just saying.
I didn't know you thought that highly of Gibby, Chris.
Oh, jeez, I'm putting in the wrong direction.
So there was that. Regions is always an issue too, but I feel like after Proving Grounds, we got a good look at different players from different regions. So if there's a way that I can spend some more time, digging into like regions and players from other regions, I don't know. I mean, there's just a lot of different answers, and it's just really hard to kind of like pinpoint any one thing. Like, this is what I can do starting right now, other than I do feel like one of the things I want to do is kind of look at like the state of different games. KOF just had, even though it just released, but it just had a big update. MKX has had a big update. Killer Instinct, we're not sure what's really going on with that before, World Cup, but I mean.
Well, I think one of the big things that a lot of people don't think about too when they talk about wanting more coverage for their game is that you have to also take into consideration that you obviously are working on more of a Street Fighter beat right now.
Sure.
And for you to go into other games, you're going to have to do a lot of due diligence, and that's a lot of time. Otherwise, the content you put out, people are just going to get mad about it because they're just going to be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't actually know the scene.
So it's funny that you mentioned that, because I'm not going to name names, but I got into a little squabble with a known player from another community. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is like, I mean, I pay attention to other games, but I don't know them as well as like Street Fighter. Like, I have to handle Smash stuff because we don't have a Smash person, and I actually really wish we had one. And I don't know Smash at all. Like, I guess I know what I've kind of learned and seen over the last few years, but not nearly as well as like Street Fighter. So when I got into the squabble, it's like this guy wants me to spend more time, or thinks Yahoo should hire more people, and I'm like, well, that's kind of not how it works. But then it's like, then the conversation goes towards having people that are in these scenes covering these things, because am I the best guy to cover KI or MKX? I don't know. I'm sure there's other people that know the games far better than I do. So then if you want people that know these games to cover them, then why do you want me to cover them? Because I'm clearly not the guy. So it's like a weird catch-22, because I'm the guy in the position, but at the same time, am I the best guy to cover the Smash 4? Well, no. There's other people that could do it way better than I could, than I can. So I don't know. It's just kind of a weird, I guess, conundrum.
No, it usually is. Oh, go ahead.
It just sort of becomes this unwinnable situation where people will start to be like, well, okay, then you should get people from the community to come in and maybe write pieces. And it's like, okay, well, if you want to volunteer your time, but we're already on our budget, so we can't pay you, and you don't want to do that because somebody who's trying to spend their time writing, the last thing you want to do is keep, just basically perpetuating this whole, hey, just write and don't get paid for it.
Get that exposure, right?
I will say this. In the case of like Yahoo, people have freelanced with us. I'm not in the office. I'm the only one that works remote, so I don't know where everything is at exactly, but we may have freelance budget. So like if people have ideas for some really cool stories, to be fair, they got to be some pretty good stories. A recap on MKX at SCR's not gonna cut it. But if there's stories, if there's some really cool stories out there, then I'm sure that our editors would be happy to take a look at those pitches. Yahoo would never make or ask anyone to write something for free. Having said that, I know there are, this is gaming media in general, right? Like I wrote for free for a little while before I decided, man, I want to get paid to do this. So I get it. And unfortunately I have strong feelings about writing for free, for like volunteering. But if people are okay with that and it gets them somewhere, then more power to you. But I would never, me personally, I would never take writing for free as like my first option.
Yeah.
So pitch stories.
No, I would say that to a lot of people. I know that people have come to me and asked if they could, like a couple of years ago, people would come to me and ask if they could put stuff up on IPW or like maybe run something on SCR for them. And I'm like, I mean, sure, but I'm not, first of all, I'm not the guy you need to talk to about IPW stuff. Second of all, I don't think you're going to get paid. And if this is something that you want to do professionally, then, I mean, it's good experience, yeah, but it doesn't, this is not how you want to keep going forever. And that transferred over to commentary, which is something that we kind of been wrestling with in the recent last couple of years, is where people were just like, hey, this is a real thing now. People get paid for this. And I remember after Evo this year, there was that video that came out, and a lot of people got pissed off about it, but the one thing he did say that was true was like, don't do this shit for free if there's people that are getting paid to do it, at that level,
Yeah, like commentary, and I think actually commentary, so esports is weird, right? Like there are so many people doing things voluntarily or for free, not just in the FGC, but in general. I think if you looked at the majority of like esports organizations out there, I would be willing to bet that the majority of the people that are working for these organizations are probably doing it for free. And that's a really weird thing for me to see. Like I see a guy who is an FGC manager for a team, and he's, he gets sent to events, but he's not, not salary or whatever. And I'm just like, man, that's a job, right? Like how can you do that for nothing? But that's just but I mean that's just where we are, and I don't know that I really agree with it, but I also don't know like what the solution there is either.
Wait, so how does he sustain himself?
A day job.
Yeah, probably.
Holy crap.
So the thing is, people will take these titles just to say they're in that position, and in some cases, some people are misled by the organization that they're going to be representing and told that they're going to make a difference. And in reality, they're just there for no reason. It's like, here you go, you got this spot. You're manager of SDR. Okay, cool. What do you do, or what do I do? Just say you're the manager of SDR and go to events. That's it.
You got to pay to go to your own event. They don't even fly you out, right?
In some cases, they'll fly him out. I know one person. There's a good chance we're talking about the same person.
Probably, yeah.
I know one person in this situation, and it really sucks. And I was so happy for him, and then he explains everything to me. I'm like, man, poor guy.
Yeah. And
it's upsetting to hear.
It's and it's weird because like I had someone message me when sort of this topic came up. I think it was on Twitter, and it's just like, it's not just FGC. It's like esports as a whole. There's like so many people that are, doing community level stuff, community management, social media stuff, even things like building websites and doing graphics and stuff. It's like, man, I don't know. I've been freelancing for a while, both as a way before as a graphic designer and then as a writer. And I'm like, man, I can't imagine working for free now. I just can't.
Speaking of which, shout outs to like all the anime evil people. You got all of them doing it for free, running tournaments elsewhere because of the love of the game. And then we have like, Hagure out there making the website for him for free. Like everybody's like putting in all this work, and they're just.
Let me touch on that briefly. He did it for free. He didn't ask for anything. He did it for the community. He decides to stop, and people give him shit for it.
Ooh,
really? That's
why?
Are we talking about the what's it called? Is it the Smash thing that we're talking about?
No. This is something different. Okay. I saw people giving him shit for it on Twitter, and it really pissed me off. Because he's a good guy, he did it for free, and he does nothing but help. So. Well,
Smash just had a thing recently where like something similar happened. I wish I could remember who it was now. Oh, it's the is it the 2GG? I think that's what it's called. Smash people are gonna kill me for not knowing this, but anyway, like basically this guy, on his own time and of course money, like set up events to kind of help build up Smash communities within SoCal, and recently got to a point where I think that he was kind of getting some flack, and then because these things like this stuff, it's time and money, right? So he just decides that like, hey, I've just decided that I'm not going to do this anymore, and and people just like. Jump all over. This is the outrage culture that we have now, and it's like, Jesus, man, this guy like put his own time and money into this thing. Like, what more do you want?
That's rather unfortunate.
What do you want from these guys?
Keep it going until I get some time and money off of it.
I don't understand, man. It pays for my laundry when I get third place. I gotta get some quarters to go down to the.
I mean, I get why people can get like sort of like maybe green-eyed monster about it, because it's just like, hey man, if you're not doing this, we look a little less legit, which means there's a little less pot for me to go around the win with, and every little bit helps, blah blah blah, this and that. But at the same time, it's just like, man, like you guys got to know that eventually there's going to be a ceiling to all this.
So I mean, I was just thinking about that, and while not necessarily the most true for everything, I was thinking, when you have those kind of things, it does create a stage for these players. It gives them a way to go out there. And so, like, obviously, this is their chance of maybe getting a Cloud9, whatever sponsorship. Like that's big. But then, like, obviously, it's a lot easier when you have someone else running for it. So there really has to be like this sort of like, relationship between organizer and player, where it's like, this person has done nothing but favors for you, and it's probably not worth the time, the money, or if it was, they want to do other stuff now. Obviously they've spent all this to try and help the community, because I've been told this several times, and I agree, but definitely still want to, is that tournament organization doesn't make you money. You don't get rich off this. I'd be like, oh yeah, I ran a tournament and I made $500,000 that year. It's like, not even close. You probably lost $500,000 that year. But it's still something that I'm interested in. It's something that I like to do, like to help out. And obviously, we have little stuff every here and there. It's not really like the most grand biggest things, but I really do enjoy it, because I feel like I am helping people out. And when I can run like a successful bracket, or just like get whatever done, I feel like I've done a good job. I've done good by the players. I've done good by the game. It really just kind of supports what I really enjoy. But at the same time, it's just like
It's a thankless job.
exactly. And like people are like, "Oh, so and so was maybe being a jerk," and it's like, well, so and so's got to also handle like 5,000 separate people,
Right.
and it's not just players. There's part of the team. There's sponsors. There's stream monsters. They have to answer to so many people, and they're just trying to do their best. And so obviously some things can be done better than others, and maybe there was some faults in their own planning, but ultimately it's just like you don't have to thankfully and baselessly just support these people blindly, but at the same time cut them some slack in some cases. Oh man, my bracket ran 30 minutes late, I'm super pissed. And it's like, I mean, there could have been a reason for that.
Yeah.
I think the thing too to remember is that since so many of these people aren't necessarily getting paid in the first place, it's really easy for that to lead to burnout, because when you basically work and your job is basically people just yelling at you, and you're not making money off that because you started doing this because you wanted to help out and you had to do it as a hobby. Mm-hmm. You're starting to do it, then you start to feel like it's a job. Mm-hmm. And a job you're not getting paid for. So if you're already working another job, you're just eventually gonna be like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I always think about this kind of situation where I'm just like, when I go to Evo and help out, or a certain tournament, it's something that I still want to do, but it's not like I am legitimately taking vacation time off. I'm taking paid or unpaid vacation from my regular job to go out to these events, to work for other people, most of the time for free. I'm not sure if I even got paid for anything outside of commentary, and that was like one time. But this is time I could have been spent in Hawaii or mountain climbing or doing something else that didn't have to do it. But I decided
like reading a book.
Let's not talk about it. This time I could have spent even just like taking time for myself. But what I wanted to do was help other people, and it's still work. Even if it's what you want to do, it's not like it's relaxation. It's not rest all the time, So it just gets real difficult in that case, where it's just like, the only vacation I get off is to go to Vegas for Evo, and then I'm at a booth for 16 hours and I don't get paid and all this other stuff, and it's just like, oh boy, was it really worth it in the end? But you do what you gotta, but at the same time, you just think, next time maybe I'm not gonna do something. And then you always hear about like tournaments having falls and stuff, and people are like, oh, how come nobody stepped up to do it? And it's like, look, they're probably on vacation too. They just want to chill.
I think the big thing too is that even if these people aren't getting paid and they're still helping you out, like the least you can do, the very least, is show them some gratitude.
Yeah.
Don't just like if something bad happens, there's nothing wrong with having complaints about it, but don't treat somebody who is not working a job like shit. Like, at least do that. Don't make their life hell for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
And if something goes really well, like, hey, this guy's been running our tournaments and they've been on time, like Christian was at Wednesday Night Fights for Guilty Gear before I left SoCal. I took every opportunity I had to be like, yo, thanks, man. I know you don't have to do this, but thank you for coming out every week and making sure these things actually get run and that they're actually run well.
Yeah, I think that definitely is probably taken for granted, where it's just like, someone will do it, so I'm just going to have a blast, I'm going to do this and that.
Whose job is this? Who can I yell at about it? And you just, it becomes, it's a faceless thing until you actually meet the person, and then you're like, oh, well, I had a lot of things I wanted to say to you.
It's like, while Wallace agreed to start streaming Guilty Gear at Wednesday Night Fights, I've known Brandon for a pretty long time now, but it's like, I still was like, yo, dude, you totally didn't have to do this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love it.
Because he just chose to do it. So,
yeah, I really think that with a lot of people in SoCal out of the streaming game for certain aspects, I definitely feel like Wild Wallace is going to have to take up the next spot of one Commando, because
Commando.
Now that he's in the Philippines, who do they got really?
So he might come back. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, he could, but like he was someone that actually like worked with Mondo very closely. You know, they used to do Super Smash Saturdays, you know, or Sundays, whatever it was. You know, he learned a lot about it, and he's a guy who knows his stuff. He's a hard worker. He's dedicated, but you know, sometimes he gets burned by people, and so he just like he's also got the thick skin now that he needs to do his job. Where it's just like, look, if it's not going to be like this, you know, I'm definitely willing to make some concessions, but if it's just going to be a bunch of BS, I ain't even going to bother. So, shout outs to him.
Yeah, shout outs to all, I think, TOs and event organizers and streamers. Yeah.
Remember, like, back in the day, Spooky used to, like, run the stream, and then people were just like, oh, aren't you, like, running the tournament, too? And, like, so he had to, like, take up 3 hats of, like, tournament bracket run in stream, and it's just, like...
And commentary.
Yeah, he did it all. So I'm really glad that he's at where he's at now because he put in so much work.
Yeah.
Also, we haven't mentioned that on the show, but if you have any guests or any questions for our guest, Bizarro Mike, feel free to ask us on Twitter. Tweet at us at SDRcast.
For our questions.
Yeah. I mean, we need guests for
probably zero.
Might actually get some visitors on the show finally.
Right? So make sure to tweet at us at SDRcast, and we'll, depending on how many questions we get, we'll try to get your question up on there.
We actually
Last
do
week
have
we had
one right
a
now.
ton of questions.
We actually do have one right now from someone if you want to get into it.
Oh boy.
Not yet. We do the Q&A session
Right,
at the end.
Oh, at the
Right?
end.
No.
Okay, cool.
Jeez.
I just wondered, you were setting it up, and I was like, I'm about to knock it out.
No. We got to let the questions flow in first, Chris. All
Okay.
right?
Well, make sure you
Then
tweet
we
that
go
out
from
so I can retweet it.
I kind of did. About an hour ago.
I tweeted it first.
No, you
If
didn't.
that's what you're saying.
Young man, go back and look at the tape. You will see I'm the one that retweeted it.
Yeah, well, all right. I sent mine out. I don't even look at yours because, you know.
See what happens when I show up?
They argue all the time anyway.
That's what we do.
They're brothers, it happens.
So, Red Bull, what was it? Proving Grounds or Battlegrounds? What was the name of the event this past weekend?
Proving Grounds.
Yeah.
As a whole, what did you guys think of it? Like, all of you, like, production-wise, commentary, player-wise. We'll start with our esteemed guest first. Mike?
Man, production-wise, there's things that I like about it, and that probably outweighs what I didn't really care for. And I know that, and I'm probably sort of biased at this point because I saw some of the players' complaints about things also. I like what Red Bull is doing production-wise. I like that they're getting these commentators in, and it feels professional. I know that Rom especially was really mad about how the cameramen were like in his peripheral vision a lot, and that really bothered him. And I know that bothers players. I know that also because they were in the same room as the commentators, like the commentators were behind the players on a couch. They actually, I guess, told the players to be quiet so that the commentators' microphones didn't pick up the players talking or anything. So that's kind of weird. And you know, like some of the players that don't wear headphones, maybe that's a distraction. I don't know. But as a whole, I thought it was a really cool event. I thought it was really cool that they brought these guys out there. The competition was great. You know, and it was actually, for me, it was kind of cool to see the Pacific Northwest guys out there. I think they did, with the exception of Kyle P. I'm gonna blow you up, Kyle. I think you should have got further. But between JLMN and Nightmare, I think those guys did really well. So I thought it was cool. I think that if they do something similar next year, I think they've got like a really good foundation, and there's just, you know, some slight improvements they can make.
Okay. Chris?
I didn't watch it.
Oh. And anyone else here watch it except me?
We were
I
streaming.
wasn't able to
actually
because
watched some of it.
I was sick and working.
So I can give a thought, kind of a corollary to what Anthony Walkman said earlier. I would really have liked to see Red Bull, like the Proving Grounds, Battlegrounds, all that stuff, sort of stand on their own, almost like the way Dota does it, where Red Bull basically is their own tournament series. It has nothing to do with Capcom Cup at all. Yeah. Because then you could basically say, okay, you know, this is just the way our production is going to be. You don't have to come if you don't like it, but there are going to be cameras here. You know, you might have to see them. You might have to be quiet. But this is our event, and we're running it under our rules, and then you can take it or leave it.
Mhm.
Because as it is, if it dovetails into Capcom Cup, I think these people have legitimate complaints, because that means not every event is run the same way.
Yeah, and like with the Red Bull proving your own stuff, I think the main, I guess, I don't know, because it is an amateur event, in that, like, I think that players couldn't have more than 100 CPT points to enter. So I think at some point, some players that had originally played, like maybe in the first couple weeks, I think had to drop out because they went to, you know, CPT events and got points. So it is kind of weird, and because it is tied into like the Pro Tour and Capcom Cup, like the, you know, getting into Battlegrounds and all of that. Yeah, I mean, it does kind of like add this weirdness. I think like if it could stand alone, where similar to like maybe what ESL is trying to do with Brooklyn Beatdown, I think that would work out pretty well. But you know, it's kind of hard to say because there's so many events now as it is, right?
Yeah. I think what I saw of it, I actually enjoyed it. I would like to see the commentators have their own separate room. I think it's a little bit awkward with them sitting on a couch like 10 feet behind one of the players.
Yeah, I mean, there was one point where Kyle P was playing and he doesn't wear a headset, and so they were, you know, talking and joking with him. And Kyle's a really, you know, he's a fun guy, so you know, he's looking at them, giving like weird looks and laughing with them and stuff. But part of me also actually feels like maybe that was a distraction for Kyle, and I know he really wanted to do well, and I'm just kind of wondering, like, if he just didn't have that extra distraction, how much effect that would have had on him. Yeah,
it is really different atmosphere, especially in that case, since they were in a studio like that. You know, normally when you play in a tournament, there's a lot of crowd noise, and you basically can kind of zone all the noise out because there's so many things happening around you. But when you're in a really quiet studio that either you have a headset on that has a game sound, or all you hear is the commentators behind you, that can be disconcerting.
Yeah.
Other than that, I thought the production was pretty slick. I like the commentary.
I think they made a good choice with Vicious and Yipes. I'm not sure if it was their intent, but you know, I thought it was cool they brought Yipes out because it brought, you know, similar to like the players, I guess, with the regions, even though primarily the commentators were SoCal, but having Yipes there, you know, from like a different region, I thought was kind of cool.
I thought him and Vicious on the mic too provided a different type of commentary that was still good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just this same, you know, we all have to fit into this narrow vision of what commentary can be, and I think that's something that really needs to be focused more in the fighting game community, that you can still do a great job at commentary, but you don't have to be this rigid, like, quote unquote professional. So
yeah, I agree.
It was good in that way.
My big issue with the event, it felt really bland. No excitement behind the result for me. I'm not sure if you guys agree. It was very boring.
Who was it? I think it was Winter Stays On tweeted out that he kind of missed the aspect of having like a crowd there. And I just wonder if, after thinking about it, I'm like, you know, that's a really good point. And of course, for an FGC event, that's kind of like, you know, that's the experience you go for, right? Whether you're a player or even a spectator.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see that. I can definitely see your point, and I think that probably would have helped. I'm not sure if it would have been, you know, perfect, but I definitely see like how that would have helped.
I agree as well, but I also think that this is sort of, you know, Red Bull's kind of dipping their toe into it in a little bit. I mean, obviously this is a pretty big undertaking as it is, but it's not big enough to say for them to rent whole buildings, you know, where they could actually have like attendance and things like that. So at least yet, maybe next year that's something they could look into. If they felt like this did really well, they feel like they could maybe sell tickets to something like this.
Yeah. I don't know how big the Red Bull offices are, but like say ESL in Burbank, they can fit like a small crowd there. They've done it before for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So I would assume that Red Bull could do the same, but then again, I don't know how big it is.
Well, so where they actually play, like the studio that they use to play in, is not very big. Sometimes they do like streams for I don't know, like I think they've had teams come in and play like Dota or whatever out of that studio. It's obviously not designed for something like FGC related. They did have pictures of some of like the other players who weren't playing and friends, family, whatever, in what kind of looked like a theater with like theater seating.
Yeah,
and I'm
like
actually
a viewing room.
Yeah, like I'm actually not sure where, because I've been to Red Bull's offices, and I'm actually not sure where that's at. It's clearly in the same building, but it actually would be nice if they had a location, even if it was just that. I think it was Cool Kid's girlfriend.
Yeah,
people kept tweeting about how she was just, just going nuts, and I thought that was really cool, but nobody knows that unless they're on Twitter or they see like the videos or vines or whatever. And I think it would have just added to just like the atmosphere that we're used to for like an FGC event.
Yeah.
So I was gonna try to get into these here questions, but Hell Pockets isn't here, so we can't really show the questions on stream. I don't know where he went, but
I mean, that's fine. Just read it off.
Okay, so yeah, the first question comes from City Hunter. He asks, any prediction for Canada Cup, and is Mike going? You're Mike. Are you going, Mike?
I am not going. I kind of wished I was, but between going to Singapore for Southeast Asia Majors and then staying in LA for that week for SCR, I kind of used up the travel time that I guess I could have used for Canada Cup. To be honest, I don't even know who's going. Is Momochi going? Because like he's my pick every time at this point. I almost guessed right on Momochi for what event was that? Not the one before Southeast Asia. Anyway, Momochi's been in like grand finals in the last couple events that. It was Southeast Asia Majors that he came in second. Let's see. I'm not sure who's going. So if Momochi's going, I will say him. Yeah, I don't. Let me. Why don't we go to the next question if there is another one, and I'll come back to that.
Next question is from Legend of Starfy. He asks, starting next year, do you see the return of multi-game players like Tokido, Justin Wong, Goichi, or will they stay Street Fighter V only?
That's an interesting question. So, I think that Justin Wong will continue to play the games that he plays. He will play Street Fighter, assuming Marvel's at, Evo again. I think he'll play that. I don't know that he's really playing anything else seriously. I know he's talked about it in the past, but yeah, I can definitely see him continuing to play multiple games. When it comes to like the top like Asian players, the top Asian Japanese players, guys like Tokido, they're only playing Street Fighter, and that's just because there's so much money involved in that. They just don't want to take the time and invest in other games because, it's kind of sad to say, but for them, it's not really worth it. So it's pretty much strictly Street Fighter for those guys.
You say that, and that's exactly what Tokido said. He said he's not going to be playing King of Fighters 14 because it's going to screw with the Street Fighter 5 game, and he wants to devote all his time and their energy into where he can make money.
Yeah.
As sad as that is, I mean, that's the way it goes.
It doesn't mean that anybody else can't make money playing KOF. It just means, he's focused on that. You never know what KOF's going to do in like a couple of years.
It's not so much that right now there's no money in playing KOF.
No, there's none.
They kind of want the instant gratification, and I get that. There's guaranteed money in Street Fighter. You practice that, you win, you do well, you get the money. KOF right now, there's no money in it. Like, we know KOF Cup's coming, but we don't know what the prizes are. We don't know if anyone gets any money for it, so I'm inclined to agree with Tokido. Just play where the money is. Like, if you're a competitive player, you play for that money and you play for that pride.
Yeah.
Money comes first. Chris?
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I think that's what changed last year with the Capcom Pro Tour, because like guys like Tokido, I mean, Daigo. I don't know. Daigo's probably only played Street Fighter for a while now, but I just know that Namo. Namo used to play Marvel, and I think those guys really just sort of settled on Street Fighter once the Pro Tour kind of became what it is.
Yeah. Well, have you guys gotten to the SDR questions yet, or?
I have gotten to 2 of them so far.
So like the Canada Cup one and everything.
And I can't find any registration info.
I know who's going to I know who's going to the Canada Cup. I know 2 people. Nerd Josh and Casio Pedro. They're going to be going at it for KOF 14.
KOF. Yeah. Is Nerd Josh who's the favorite for KOF?
Out of those 2, it would be Pedro.
Yeah.
Pedro got 4th at SCR, putting on like an amazing performance against Romance, who everyone thought would just like destroy Pedro, and I'm like, yeah, good
and
shit, Colorado guy.
Pedro also took first in the SDR Open.
He took first in the SDR Open, and then there were 2.
He's sponsored by us right now. Yeah. SDR, KCO Pedro.
Yeah.
How did that even go, by the way?
It went very well.
Oh yeah.
We held online brackets. Like everything was online, obviously.
Yeah.
We ran the entire tournament off stream up until top 8, which took us like about roughly an hour, and then we got to top 8 and streamed every single top 8 match with Hell Pockets and Metaphysics commentating.
Oh. Infiltration appears to be registered for Canada Cup, so
Prediction 1.
Man, I don't know. See, here's the thing. He's in a situation right now where like he doesn't even care if he wins this thing, right? He's just gonna pull characters out that he wants to test out or whatever.
He's already proven that, right? Against at the other ESL event.
ESL? Yeah. Because people were like, "Oh, don't you care about?" I mean, look, this guy has 2 things on his mind: Evo and Capcom Cup. So
Evo's already gone, so he's focused on Capcom Cup and next year's Evo.
Yeah.
Season 2. That's all he cares about. We got one from Reiki, longtime friend of the show. I think this is more of a general question, though. How can grassroots gaming communities elevate themselves to produce professional content? How do you appeal to the average reader? I kind of feel like that's sort of just like it. You gotta throw stuff out there sometimes,
I don't know. See, that's a hard question because, like, when you're talking about like casual, not even casual fighting game, or people casually interested in fighting games, I feel like what we're talking about is. By the way, before we get into that, all I see is really Infiltration so far on this registration, so I guess that's my pick. Canada Cup, Infiltration. So the idea of like I think the FGC in general appealing to casual people, I don't know, gamers, just whatever. It's weird, right? Because for the most part, I think in general when people come into the FGC, it's sort of like it's through a gateway, right? It's somebody they know that plays games or goes to these events or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. The easy answer is outreach. If we have better outreach. When it comes to specifically like production, though, it certainly helps that Evo was on ESPN.
Oh yeah.
And I think that is a way to draw people in, but. Going back to like the Capcom Pro Tour being like a weird sort of kind of difficult thing to wrap your head around, I think that also makes it challenging for people who don't understand fighting games or understand these types of, I guess, leagues or whatever. I think it makes it hard for them to understand it. So it's I don't know, it feels like a cop-out, but if things were simpler for other people to understand, I think that would help a lot.
Thea agrees.
To kind of expound on that, I think especially for smaller groups of people, especially even smaller communities, to really get their content out there, I think it really does become about making connections. Basically, a really good example of that is when Killer Instinct was coming out. Maximilian just happened to be a really big Killer Instinct fan. Mm-hmm. And love him or hate him, he has a bigger audience than most games in fighting games.
Yeah.
So that was a huge thing for them, just because while you can say, he's not a huge tenant in the KI community now, but what he did was he got that game off the ground.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And for small groups of players who are trying to create content, say like even small groups of players in King of Fighters right now who are trying to get, maybe they have videos and they want people to see those videos. It's about knowing people who you can pass something along to, who trust your content, but also have a much bigger audience than you do.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
So
yeah, going with that, actually, what Metaphysics was talking about at SCR when he did commentary for King of Fighters Top 8, he had told us that, beforehand he had like told his mom, oh yeah, I'm gonna be commentating, here's where you can watch it if you want to. Like he always like tells him at the time of or whatever. He never really told him before, but he said he's just like casually was like, oh yeah, you guys are wondering what I do, here's what it is. And he said he got so many text messages from family members, old bosses, friends. They're just like, we had no idea what you did, and we didn't necessarily know exactly what was going on in the game, but you guys made it so enjoyable to watch anyway. So like, commentators like just getting excited or just being like, oh man, look at this, while not necessarily like any sporting event, you don't have to be a sports fan to go and enjoy sports or things like that. You might not know everything when you first watch it, but the energy that is given off from a product can generally also really get you enthralled and just be like, I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but there's information you can glean from playing it. Obviously, you have to learn at some point. But if you're really invested to it and you really like what you see on I feel like that also just making it palatable to anybody. You may not know about these kind of things.
Yeah, I think that's why Evo does so well at bringing people in. I think, year after year, just in general, people kind of see, whether it was like the Woshige, stuff a couple of years ago, or even just like these, they see these crazy matches. Like I said, if someone's paying attention to this stuff because like a friend is or whatever, it usually brings people in. Mm-hmm. But I know people tend to focus like on production, and I know I've talked about in the past, like, yeah, if we could up our production at events, it'd be great. But of course, the elephant in the room there is money, right? Like you have to have money to up your production. And so I don't know, I think there's people out there who are finding ways to put on maybe a unique product or something a little different. But at the end of the day, it's just, I don't know, it's outreach. It's just a lot of different things that people need to do, whether it's introducing these games or people to these scenes, or like you said, if someone who has a large following can help, put content out or push out content that people are creating, that obviously helps. There's just like I said, man, esports is weird. Nobody knows how to make money in esports. I don't know how anybody makes money in esports.
I mean, I don't want to scare anybody, but they may not make any.
Yeah, that is a very real thing. Great possibility. Yeah.
But keep believing, guys. We're almost there.
Yes. Keep me employed.
Pretty close.
But like, yeah, going with that, like nobody really knows how to, but good chances there is a way.
There's always going to be a way, because there's people that want to be in on it and watch it and play it, and it's just like, okay, how do we get them to come out of pocket and just watch?
Right.
How do we sell some tickets, put butts in seats? And
Yeah.
that's probably the last thing we've probably started thinking about. And I think next year is going to be the year of like, hey, how do we make people invest in this without wanting to compete?
I mean, everybody really wants to get in on this now, anyways. Too, like a bunch of companies, like Amazon and the new game studio, their game they putting out, trying to get some esports on. It's like everybody's just trying to grab at something for now, but they're not entirely sure what's going on. But it doesn't mean they sure as hell ain't trying.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's definitely interesting because it's still such a new thing. Like, of course, we see these the international Dota 2 pots of like, yeah, this guy just won $1 million, like him and all of his teammates and whatever, and like that's absurd to think about, But that's definitely one case for this. It's not like this the whole time, but a lot of that is community based.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's no sponsors involved with that. You have Valve put up some money, but everything else is pretty much just like, I'm a fan, I want to play. And I'm not saying that's the best way to go, just to get your fan base and just start exploiting and be like, yeah, give us money if you want this to be a thing. But there's definitely got to be some kind of like good balance. Maybe that is what you need, but you incentivize it.
Yeah, crowdfunding or crowdfunding events seems to be, I guess, a way to go. I think it's helped with some events this year. I'm not sure how I feel about some of the, I guess, crowdfunding approach. The approach for crowdfunding that's some events have done, but I feel like that's, it's the Dota 2 model, right? And obviously it works with Dota 2 because that game is like has global appeal. Not that fighting games don't, but I mean, we're talking millions and millions of people that play, that in League of Legends. I mean, even if they don't play it, if they enjoy it, whatever. Smash is the same thing. Like, I feel like Smash's appeal is larger than fighting games.
Definitely.
And, Smash is weird because I feel like they actually don't make as much money compared to other esports. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, esports is weird, and there's just all kinds of things that you could try or do. But I also think that it kind of comes down to having more businesses, whether it's Capcom, Sony, Red Bull, or other larger corporations that get in and sort of do it right. I've been talking about Bud Light for a while now. I have no idea what they're doing. I don't think they know what they're doing, and the whole thing has just been a joke. And that's not how we want to see. Like, us as a community wants to see these guys come in. Whereas, like, if you compare it to Geico Gaming, everyone's like, "Whoa, Geico! What do they have?" Geico came in, they hooked up with the Panda Global guys, and they said, "Hey, we want to get into this fighting games thing, but you know what? We admit we don't know a damn thing about it, or we don't know much about it. But you tell us, like, how do you think we should go about it?" And
I think that's definitely, one of the greater things you can do.
Yeah. I mean, how do we do this? And when you go to like community leaders and they can guide you, I think that's the best direction for companies trying to get into, like, especially FGC.
I think I don't want to cut you guys off, but I think we should probably continue this conversation in another episode. Like, seriously.
Because I just wanted to say real quick. Go ahead and give me real quick, like my thoughts.
Oh no, I'll follow mine up after you. Go.
I'm just saying, like, this is kind of like, this is such a weird illusion, but with all these companies trying to get in to FGC and not really knowing about it, like, they're making these teams that people would be like, oh yeah, this and that, but this is kind of like a 1970s mafia. We need a Donnie Brasco. We need a street guy to come in and become a cop to help take down what's going on. We need people that are within the community and integral to the part that might not be what you would see as, like, this guy's like, I don't know. He brought in a bunch of sales figures, but he doesn't know a single thing about this. But let's put him at the forefront. You want to have someone that's really invested into it, and that might really help succeed and grow your business. Yeah. So while even not necessarily people mostly in the forefront, there are people out there who have been doing this, who have their ear to the ground. And while people might not know exactly who they are, people will be like, "Who's Chris Seglia?" Well, guess what? Now he's huge. And
it's his birthday, everybody! Happy birthday, Chris Seglia!
Happy birthday, Mr. Seglia!
But it's just like, it's exactly that. You just got to get the right people, and you might not know exactly where they are, but you should put out the call and try and find these people.
I do think the one risk with that is, basically there are people who are in the community who will try to take advantage of that, and it becomes about finding people who not only have their community's best interest but your best interest. Like, everyone can win if that's what the goal is, but some people are still, even now, just trying to get their own.
Exactly.
That's a huge obstacle.
Yeah, there's definitely people who are looking to jump on and hit the ground running. But I'm not entirely sure if the best thing otherwise is be like, we don't know a single thing, so it's really hard.
Yeah, it is.
You got to find that good balance. You got to find those good people, and you got to know where to find them. So and
that can be hard when you're coming in blind to something.
Exactly. Be like, oh, look, here's a new mark here. They got another sucker. let's bleed him dry. Haha, thanks a lot. Because if that happens, then the whole esports might just cave at that point, because they'll be hearing from other companies or what happened. Be like, oh, this is we're out. It's not worth it.
Yep.
So
and only doing DreamHack events from then on.
Yeah, there you go.
businesses are tough.
So one of the things I wanted to bring up, little less than 24 hours ago, the organizers for Stunfest in France, which is one of their biggest tournaments, announced that Stunfest 2017, which is generally held in February, March, is going to be canceled. I didn't really see the reason why. I couldn't translate it because, I don't know French well at all. But it's canceled, and that sucks for the French scene.
That's a really, the funny thing about Stunfest is, to me, that is a fantastic event for Street Fighter, but it's actually not even an FGC event. It's just like sort of like a general gaming event that they also happen to do tournaments at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a bummer that, to think about next year. One of my favorite moments of last year was Stunfest Grand Finals.
Oh man.
And it's kind of a bummer to think about, man, that's not going to be a thing next year.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, just joking, or you prefacing it with a joke, but man, those guys went pretty far to duck you in Market of Wolves, just canceled the whole event.
No, yeah, but the one thing that Stunfest does really well is it's like you said, it's not a fighting game tournament.
Yeah.
It does Street Fighter very well, but it does every other game too. It's a big thing for Third Strike, King of Fighters, old SNK games, and everything. So it kind of sucks that they're not going to have it. I don't know if anything is going to take its place next year. You would assume something might, but I don't know. I got to talk to the people I know in the community and figure it out. They'll let me know.
The convention that it's a part of is still going to happen, I imagine.
I don't know. I didn't really see that.
Because Stunfest isn't like the entire show, right? It's just a piece of it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
right,
told. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, maybe the event hosts are just like, maybe it's time we run our own esports event. Anyway, that's something we can speculate on later. We got to get out of here.
Yeah, I was about to say, all right, we got any last thoughts?
Be sure to go check out twitch.tv/superplay. A lot of my friends were there doing super plays for arcade games. I wanted to touch on it this week, but obviously we couldn't. I'll probably talk about it next week, depending on if we have a guest or not. Check out the archive; it's really good. You can see people.
Next
Are we
week.
having a show? We're not having.
Oh no, next week. Yeah, no show next week. It's Halloween. We're all going trick or treating.
Yeah, go be
kids.
Go dress up and don't terrorize anybody, but go get some candy. Maybe some mini Snickers. Or
Go
something.
out there dressed up as a superhero and just go beat the shit out of people that are trying to scare people.
Dress up as your favorite WWE sports entertainer.
Yeah, just go as John Cena. Then they won't see you coming.
And be sure to follow all of us. All the Twitters are right there on the right-hand side of the screen. And be sure to follow our guest at Bizarro_Mike on Twitter. He says things.
I do. I say words on Twitter.
I wish I could read.
I haven't seen you write words in quite a while, so I don't know if he's writing.
All right. Well, I'd like to once again thank our guest, Bizarro Mike, for coming on tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So from everybody here at Super Desperation Radio, good night and good luck.